Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the weekly Mozilla Project call. It is Monday, August 26th. And as we usually do, we're going to start off this week's meeting with Friends of Mozilla. The write-in this week comes from the DevRel team. We would like to recognize the Mozilla Tech Speakers team who have had a very active week last week, spreading the word about Mozilla and the open web. This past week, tech speakers collectively delivered 17 talks and workshops for developers around the globe. The Emerging Technology Org would like to extend a big thank you to the following tech speakers who spoke at various conferences and events: Aisha, Ali, Anjana, Bob, Giannis, Kiki, Leo, Miguel, Niels, Nikita, Princia, Rabimba, Risky, Villian, and Wojtek. A big round of applause to our tech speakers for getting the word out about Mozilla and the open web. Next, we move to upcoming events in the calendar for this week. On Wednesday, August 28th and Thursday, August 29th, we have the Homebrew Website Club. On Thursday, it's in Wednesday, it's in San Francisco, and Thursday in Brighton, England. The Homebrew Website Club is a growing worldwide network of meetups for everyone who wants to take back their web experience from social media silos and own their online identities, content, and interactions. Details and RSVP links are in the wiki agenda. Next week, we have the ET Speaker Series with Yvonne Wone of the New Jersey Institute of Technology. The topic is Digital Patronage, a new media ecosystem supporting creative content. That's next Thursday, September 5th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. From the wiki notes, much of the internet as we know it is funded by advertising. Arguably, the underlying cause of issues with privacy and data on the internet is that very advertising funding, and specifically the desire for targeted advertising. But what are the alternatives? In this talk, Assistant Professor of Informatics at New Jersey Institute of Technology and Mozilla Research Grant Award winner Yvette Wone will present an in-depth study of one particular form of funding on the internet, her recent work exploring digital patronage on Twitch. It will be hosted live in Mountain View and broadcast and recorded on Air Mozilla and YouTube. Questions go to the ET channel on Slack and Joe Fish on Twitter. You can find more about this event linked in the wiki agenda. And with that, we are going to move on to our speakers. We start off with Principal Research Scientist Joe Fish K with the Emerging Technology Weekly Update. Thank you.
Good morning. We've got a couple of things we wanted to tell you about that are going on right now inside emerging technologies. The first is a really interesting step in enabling WebAssembly outside the browser. Right? So right now, a lot of the work that's been going along around WebAssembly is all about interfacing directly with JavaScript. Right? It's very easy if you're just doing stuff with JavaScript, and we're pretty good at passing numbers back and forth. It's a lot harder to pass other things back and forth. And so this work around WebAssembly interface types is all about making it possible to pass that back and forth and encapsulate stuff so that you can take WebAssembly work and then run it maybe from your Python program or your Ruby or Rust or whatever. It's pretty exciting. Lynn Clark has a blog post that's linked from the Hacks blog, which I recommend flipping through. I will confess, I've started reading it, and then I got really interested in some of the links, and I got about 3/4 of the way through, and I never finished it. But it's exciting, and it's thorough, and like all of Lynn's posts, when you read it, you have a better understanding of the whole in a great way. The second thing is my colleagues are currently working on the Mozilla Developer Roadshow, which is in Germany and Austria this week, right? There's about 400 people signed up. There's a whole bunch of presentations. There's a whole bunch of interesting things where Mozilla speakers are sharing what we're doing within Firefox, what we're doing with emerging technologies. And it's also worth pointing out that Vue Source Conference Amsterdam is still open. That's coming up reasonably soon, I think. You can both look at that. You can follow that on Twitter, but also it's you can still go and register. And finally, I'd like to talk about a paper that myself and Janice Tsai are co-authors on. There's a conference called Computer Supported Cooperative Work. CSCW is one of the major conferences for talking about how multiple people use computers together. And a couple of years ago, Janice and I got interested in how people were boycotting the internet. Where were they making decisions to boycott Facebook, to boycott Google, say? And what did that look like? So Han-Lin Lee and Nick Vincent and Brent Hecht, all at Northwestern, had some work they had done on how people were doing boycotting. So we met them at the conference last year. We took the survey we had done 2 years ago and did it again so we could actually look at the changes in how people say they're boycotting technology companies. The key thing that I think is worth sharing with this audience, 30% of people told us they were currently protesting technology companies by changing their use, right? That's up from, I think it was 21% last time we did this. And overall, nearly half the people we surveyed, told us they were either active protest users or they wanted to become protest users. Particularly, we saw people say, well, I'd like to leave Facebook, but there's not a good alternative for me right now. I think that's a really valuable thing for us to think about at Mozilla as we think about how we make impact in the world and how we can make the mission valuable moving forward. Providing alternatives is a really important thing to do. And I think these concerns that people have that are leading to these protests are about business models that profit from user data and about concerns about privacy. So I thought all of that was a really exciting thing. The paper is linked there. I'm happy to answer questions. Janice is happy to answer questions too. All right. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Joe Fish. I'm definitely excited about this protest paper. I think that people who take control of their online lives are people that we're close to, and so we ought to be paying close attention to this. Next up, we have Andrew Krug coming to us with the IT Minute.
It's time for the Weekly Minute Update, where we tell you all the things IT is doing to empower Mozillians in their mission to keep the web a global public resource open and accessible to all. Our first update today comes from the IT Data and Analytics team. They're working hard building out the foundations of the new data platform powered by Google Cloud. The new platform will handle integrating with a variety of data tools in order to give us more visibility on how we're doing. The team is also working collaboratively with Firefox accounts, data ops, Salesforce, and lifecycle marketing teams to make sure that the customer data platform is ready to support the Skyline release of Firefox. If you're interested in seeing demos and more updates from the IT Data and Analytics team, we'll be keeping you posted. For now, here's a link to one demo of the customer data platform using machine learning with Google Cloud BigQuery. Next and finally, the IT Project Management Office, also sometimes referred to as IT PMO, will be conducting a series of Jira training sessions this week for the IT organization. Any questions on that, go to Olga Rolf. That's it for this very short minute. I'll see you in 2 weeks because next Monday is a U.S. holiday, Labor Day. Did you know that Labor Day officially became a holiday in the States on June 28, 1894?
Thank you, Andrew. And next up from the Team Firefox DevTools, we have Harold here with DevTools in 60 seconds.
Hello. After some hiatus from PTO times and a few other things, Inline Variable Preview is finally shipping. It has been a Google Summer of Code project for the past weeks and has been growing and shaping up really well. So it's going to be prefed on nightly this week, and I'm going to ride the train if nothing happens. So it's amazing. It makes the debugger really easy to use, to see all your variables in context. So that's really an exciting one. Another even more exciting one is the WebSocket Inspector, which I did mention about a month ago. It's also now getting prefed on nightly, or has been for a while, and it's going to ride the train. Has been one of the most requested features in a while, and we have been able to really innovate on top of what was already out there, including JSON Preview and previews for Socket.io and other public libraries that are being used for those cases. So we have delimitation breakpoints. This is pretty powerful if you want to know what's updating a page and what's changing style, what's adding text, what's removing elements in a really highly scripted web that we live today, especially if you don't own a page. So this is a big feature that has been requested from the Web Compa team as well to diagnose of what's happening on the web. And in this case, you will break on a DOM change within on the left side, and then on the right side, you see you being paused in the right place of a script touching the text. So this is also going to beta now. Has been great work by the team to get this all up together. And then a few of us have spoken at SFHTML on Friday, which is a meetup, they say the biggest meetup in the Bay Area, even in the US. Number-wise, it has been 500 people signed up. nearly, and we had a round of DevTools talks from the Edge team and from the Chrome team and from 2 people from Firefox. So big happy family meeting, and we'll see Victoria's talk on new and experimental CSS tools in Firefox, and I was talking about collaborative tools within for web development. So you can catch those later if you like and have a few minutes. And that's it. Keep on rocking, inspecting, debugging, profiling, editing for web.
Thank you, Harold. And next up, we have It's Me with the weekly Firefox update. Let me get my notes here. Firefox 68.0.2 is our current stable release. 69 is in the beta channel, and that ships to stable on September 3rd. The release candidate's happening today, so we're pretty much done with Firefox 69. Unless something urgent comes up at the last minute, we expect to be shipping that next week. Firefox 70 is in the nightly channel, and that ships to the stable release on October 22nd. The nightly soft code freeze is in effect starting today. What that means is that developers are strongly urged not to land any fixes that are deemed risky and not to enable any pref-controlled features. It's recommended to wait until after merge day next week to land such fixes on Mozilla Central. Over the last week, there have been about 450 bugs resolved as fixed, including these notable changes. Last week, Firefox got the ability to inspect web extension storage local data from the add-on debugging toolbox storage panel. The feature is currently behind a preference, which is listed in the notes. We invite you to give this feature a try in a recent nightly build by flipping the pref and providing feedback. You can follow bug 154035, also listed in the notes, to know when the feature will be enabled by default and when some additional features will be added to it, like the ability to apply changes to the storage local data from the DevTools storage panel. Next up, a regression we shipped in Firefox 68 has been fixed. The extension list in the add-ons manager is again screen reader accessible. I'm going to see if it's possible for us to get this uplifted into a point release so that our screen reader users can use their extensions again. The notifications prompt has a never allow rather than a not now denial button. This brings it in line with user expectations. When you get overwhelmed by permission prompts, rather than having to click not this time each time you visit that website, you can now click never allow in the dialog and you won't see those prompts again. Firefox has a preferences UI for the picture-in-picture toggle. Some people don't like seeing that little picture-in-picture overlay tab that shows up on videos when you hover them. And if you don't use that feature, you can toggle it off entirely in preferences. The new certificate viewer has been enabled by default. We used to have a dialog that gave a kind of cramped view of the certificate, and now it's a full-page viewer. Some really nice work there, and that's just been turned on last week so that you'll see it when you go to check out details of a certificate on a secure site. The developer tools Scratchpad is going away. And we've just landed a deprecation warning to let people know that that's going away and to transition to using our replacement tools. And last but not least, core animation, which is a feature we're working on to improve battery life on Macintosh, has been enabled by default for Mac OS users, and a couple of regressions that we saw early in the week with that enablement have also been fixed. So if you were on Mac and you saw your minimize, maximize buttons being clipped or other small rendering issues like that, hopefully those are all taken care of. And that is the Firefox update for this week. I'm going to reload the agenda to see if anything else has come on. It doesn't look like it. And we also do not have any new Mozillians joining us this week. So that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. As you heard earlier in the IT update, we are off next week for a US holiday. We'll be back the following week, which I believe is the 9th. I may be wrong in that, but it's 2 weeks away. Thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Until then, keep on rocking the free web.